Japan. For years, that has been the answer whenever somebody asks where Forza Horizon should go next. Every comment section, every forum, every Discord, Japan is the answer. And Playground Games said, yeah, we heard you, let's do it. Forza Horizon 6 is here, it's set in Japan, and the real question isn't whether the setting is cool, because hell yeah it is, it obviously is, it's Japan. The question is, does the actual game deliver? Does it feel different enough to matter? Is the gameplay worth your time and your money? That's what we're breaking down today. The gameplay, the driving, the progression, the map, the visuals, all of it. No fluff, just what you actually need to know. So let's get into it. What's up everybody, Andre from AndreTheAlpha here, and welcome back to the channel. So Forza Horizon 6, this is one of those games where the hype was loud in the months leading up to the launch, and that it almost felt impossible to live up to. Fans wanted Japan so bad for so long, and Playground Games had to come in and deliver on that, and somehow keep the franchise moving forward after Horizon 5, which was already considered one of the best racing games ever made. So before we get into it too deep, here's what we actually are covering today. We're starting with the actual gameplay and the driving feel, because that's the heart of any racing game. Then we're going to hit the progression system, which is generally one of the best changes in the entry, and after that the map and exploration, and then the visual and performance, and then we'll wrap up with the final verdict. Stick around for the progression section specifically, because that part surprised me and is probably the part most people are sleeping on. So the gameplay, because this is a racing game and everything else is just decoration if the driving doesn't feel right. So here's the thing about Forza Horizon, it's always sat in this interesting space between arcade and simulation. It's not Gran Turismo, it's not Mario Kart, it's its own thing entirely. And in Horizon 6, that balance is still very much intact, and honestly it feels a little bit sharper this time around. The driving in this game is great, each car has its own weight to it. You feel the difference between throwing a beat up K car through a tight Tokyo slide street versus pushing a full-on hypercart flat on the expressway. The feedback is there, the steering response is there, and whether you're coming in at this as a casual who just wants to cruise, or somebody who actually wants to tune up the setups and chase clean laps, this game gives you the room to do both. The assist options are deep, you can turn on almost everything if you're newer to racing games, and that game will basically guide you through that, or you can strip it all back and go raw. I respect that they're keeping the balance, because not everyone coming to Horizon is a sim racer, and that's perfectly fine. The game knows its audience. The car section, 550 vehicles at launch. That's massive for a roster, and what impressed me is how different they actually feel from each other. You'll notice it immediately when you go from a Japanese drift car on a mountain pass to an off-road truck barreling through the rice fields. The variety in how these cars handle is real. It's not just visual, it translates into how you actually drive them. One of the biggest additions to the gameplay loop this time around is the variety of race car types built around the Japan setting, and some of these are generally fun and creative in ways that I didn't expect. You got the toga battles, and these are one-on-one downhill sprints on tight wind mountain roads, and honestly these are some of the most fun racing events that I've had in a Horizon game. The roads are narrow, the corners are sharp, and the tension of keeping the car alive while pushing pace is real. Great addition there. Horizon Rush events are back, and they're well designed. Obstacle courses style races on technical circuits that reward clean precision driving. And then there's the food delivery missions. And look, I know, it sounds like a side thing that you do once and forget about it, but driving a Japanese K-truck through Tokyo streets trying not to damage your cargo is generally fun. It's goofy in a great way, and it breaks up the racing rhythm perfectly. Showcase events return as well, and they're still some of the highlight moments of any Horizon game. Racing a giant Gundam mech is actually as wild as it sounds. These events have always been about creating moments that you'll remember, and Horizon 6 delivers on that. Now, a small note on the AI. On higher difficulty settings, the AI is notably tougher than previous Horizon games, like actual competitive. And if you've been running on unbeatable in older entries and treating it like a warm-up, expect to actually work for it here. But on the middle difficulty tiers, you can still find the sweet spot where racing feels close and earned. Worth adjusting to your preference and not defaulting to what you're used to in Horizon 5. For the driving feel, the variety of race types, the mix of structure and chaos, this is what Forza Horizon does best, and Horizon 6 keep that tradition alive. Okay, the progression system. This is where Horizon 6 makes its most meaningful change, and I want to spend some real time on it because this is something that the series has needed for a while. In Horizon 4 and 5, you basically started as a racing legend. Like, before you even did anything, NPCs already were treating you like a superstar. Hypercars showed up early, everything came fast, and as fun as those games were, there was this weird feeling where the progression had no weight to it. You were accumulating things rather than earning them. Horizon 6 fixes that, and it does this with a pretty simple shift in framing. You're not a racing star when you arrive in Japan. You're just a tourist, an outsider with ambitions, and you have to earn your spot at the Horizon Festival from the ground up. That changes how the game feels from the very first race. The wristband progression system is back, and this time it actually means something. Each wristband that you earn opens up access to bigger events, faster car classes, and even more on the map. And here's the key detail. The game restricts which cars you can use in the official festival events based on your progression. So you're not just skipping straight to the S-class cars and running laps. You're starting in the slower classes, learning how those cars handle, and building your way up. And that really matters because when you finally get access to faster stuff, it actually feels like you've arrived somewhere. The progression is split into two paths that run parallel. There's a structured festival path with the wristbands and the car class gates. That's your main climb. And then there's Discover Japan, which is more freeform. You're collecting stamps by taking photos, doing side activities, and completing story missions. The car restrictions are a little bit looser there, so if you want to grab a hypercar and just cruise, you definitely can. These two systems works well together without getting in each other's way. And then there's the Legends Islands. Once you've earned all 7 wristbands, you unlock this region that's reserved exclusively for the top tier of the festival. These are the hardest circuits, the most demanding events, and it's the end game. And by putting it all behind meaningful progression, Playground has created something that this series hasn't really had before, a destination, something to actually work towards. The result is that Forza Horizon 6 now has a sense of momentum that feels earned rather than just given to you. And for a franchise that has been criticized for front-loading everything, this is a real step forward to a great progression. As for the map, let's talk about the map. Japan was always going to be a strong setting for a Forza game. The automotive culture, the mountain roads, the urban density, the contrast between nature and city is basically made for this. But knowing that and actually executing it are two different things. Playground executed that perfectly. The map in Horizon 6 is massive, and more importantly, it's dense. Every region feels distinct. You got Tokyo with its elevated expressways and neon lit streets. You got Mountain Pass with its tight strip backs, perfect for drifting, bamboo forests, coastal highways, snow-capped peaks, rice fields, industrial zones, quiet villages. The variety is real, and it keeps exploration interesting from the first hour all the way through. Tokyo deserves its own mention because it's the largest urban environment Playground has ever put in a Horizon game, and it shows. The pure scale of it, the architecture, the landmarks like Tokyo Tower and Shibuya Crossing is generally impressive just to drive through. There's a density to it that previous Horizon game maps never quite had. One fair critique that I do have, the cities can feel a little light on foot traffic and NPC life. It makes sense from a performance and design standpoint, but if you stop and look around, it can feel more like a postcard of Japan than lived in world, and it's not a deal breaker, but it is definitely noticeable. What the map really does well is reward you for exploration. There's always something around the corner, hidden routes, barns with rare cards, speed traps, drift zones, viewpoints, day trip activities that give you cultural context for regions that you're exploring. The game is always giving you a reason to go somewhere new. The elevation changes on the map are also a huge deal. There are no straight lines. The terrain forces you to go onto roads, up mountains, down passes. You can't just point your car at the map icon and just floor it straight line like you could in Mexico. The map pushes you to actually drive, and that's exactly what Horizon games should do. Fast travel also gets a nice quality of life upgrade. Driving a road once, and now it's free to fast travel that stretch going forward. No more hunting the fast travel boards or buying the right house. It's clean and it works and it respects your time. As for the visuals, look, Forza has always been one of the best looking racing franchises out there. Horizon 6 keeps that crown intact. I don't say that lightly. The environmental detail is insane. Foliage that actually reacts as you drive through it. Water droplets moving across your windshield based on your speed and direction. Whether you're tearing through a bamboo grove at speed or cruising the Tokyo Expressway at night in the rain, it looks remarkable. The night drive in the rain deserves its own moment. The way the reflections from the neon signs and the streetlights smear across the asphalt, the way your car paint reacts to every light source, there are moments in this game where you just stop and look, and that's saying something because you're supposed to be racing. The car models are exceptional. The level of detail on exterior, paint, glass, carbon fiber is all there, and the audio design matches the visual quality. Car sounds have been reworked meaningfully across the board. Specific engine tones, the sounds of anti-lag actually feels authentic. Spatial audio that puts you in the moment. This is not a department where Playground cuts corners. On Xbox Series X in performance mode, you're getting a dynamic 4K at 60 FPS that runs smooth. Quality modes gives you a native 4K at 30 FPS with the higher detail settings if you prefer the visual bump. Both are very solid. Most players will want performance mode. 60 FPS in a racing game is the right call. On PC with the right rig, you're looking at ray tracing across the full open world, not just in garages or photo mode, and the difference is visual. The way Tokyo looks at night with full ray tracing, it's a benchmark. If there's a visual note worth mentioning, it's the subtle light fade and atmosphere around your car. You can sometimes see the lighting quality shift as you move through the world. It's not something that you'll catch mid-race, but if you're cruising slowly, you might actually notice it. It's a minor technical thing, and for most people in most situations, it won't matter. Overall though, this is one of the best looking open world games on the market right now, no questions asked. Now, this wouldn't be a real review if I didn't talk about things that aren't perfect, and there are a few worth mentioning. The story presentation and the character dialogue is still a weak part of the Horizon package. The characters that you interact with throughout the campaign are fine, but they feel like they belong in a marketing campaign rather than an actual game. It's authentic without being genuine, and if you're here for a story, you won't find a lot of depth. The setup of being a tour-up working your way up is actually smarter than the previous entry, but the execution in cutscenes and NPC dialogue doesn't quite match the concept. The Homestead building system would let you buy properties, customize them with racetracks, ramps, decorations, all kinds of stuff. It's more robust than you expect, but on controller, the building tools are finicky enough that it takes patience to get what you want. The potential is there if the community leans into it. Whether that becomes a real part of the experience long term depends on the player base. In the point reward system, where XP pops on the screen for drifting, near misses, drafting, and basically everything that you do, has been a Horizon for years and is still a little noisy. There are also many numbers flying around that after a while your brain just starts tuning them out. It doesn't ruin the experience, but cleaning that up will make the moment to moment feedback feel more meaningful. None of these are reasons to skip the game, they're just little errors that still have room to grow. So, Forza Horizon 6, where does it land? If you're a Horizon fan, this is the best entry in the series. The map setting is everything fans have hoped for, the driving is refined to satisfying across all classes, the new progression system gives the momentum, actual weight, and movement, and visually the game sets a new standard for what the open world racing can look like. If you've never played a Horizon game before, this is actually a great place to start. The new progression structure does a better job of teaching you the game organically than previous entries did. You're not just dropped into the deep end with everything available at once. If you were hoping that Playground would completely reinvent the formula, that's not what this is. Horizon 6 is an evolution, not a revolution. It takes what the series does best and does it better. If that's not enough for you, this won't change your mind, but for everyone else, for the people who love a great open world, incredible driving, a stunning setting, and a game that's generally fun to spend time in, Forza Horizon 6 is that game, and it's not even close. That's the review, guys. If you found that helpful, hit the like button. It generally helps the channel more than you know. I love getting paid for just yapping about video games. Subscribe to you new, and if you want more coverage like this. Drop in the comments if you're picking up Horizon 6 and what settings do you want to see after Japan. I'll read all the comments and I'll respond. And as always, stay safe, stay smart, stay fast, and stay alpha.